How's it going? This is Master Trainer Brad here, and we're going to be going over some singles today. So the first single we're going to go ahead and start out with is Ninetales from Misty and Flames. If you guys have seen my other video recently, I highlighted this card as a card to continue to watch for as it continues to move up with higher volume. Here on the 3-month chart, as you can see, this card is up about 64% on the 3-month chart. On the 1-month chart, you're looking at 15%. And then the 6-month chart, you're looking also at about 15%. So the biggest run has really been within the last 3 months. This is a beautiful looking card as far as popularity wise. It's one of the more popular cards of the set Obsidian Flames, which Obsidian Flames is coming into the end of its competition run here in late April. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Obsidian Flames cards continue to increase in value, especially as the set is nearing retirement. And that for $34 or 33 and change rather, that's the first gold star seller. If you want the first hobby shop, you're looking at $30 and for the card and $6 for shipping, so $36. But that's for the first card here. The next card I went ahead and picked the Charizard, the gold Charizard, which fittingly enough is the second most chased card of the set behind the regular Charizard. But as far as with this one in particular, many are starting to talk about how some of these gold cards, while they're not necessarily highly requested right now, they very easily can be highly requested and demanded in the future, especially on some of these cards that are more rare, like this hyper rare. And so it is something to definitely keep an eye on, as far as to make sure you watch it for price improvement and that kind of thing. Last 3 months, it is up 34%, and again, large volume spike right here in early March to kind of help set the floor as far as price wise. The 1-month chart, we're looking at down 4%, right? And you see the price, the large amount of purchases right here. There was a 76 spike in volume right here on March 5th. So somebody was definitely buying a large quantity of them in one day. Last 6 months, so overall, it's up 30%. Okay. And last 1 year, it's up 70%. So last summer in July, you could have picked this bad boy up for about 17, 18 bucks. Not bad for a 9-month swing, right? First gold star seller, you're looking at about $38. If you're looking for a hobby shop, you're gonna be closer to $40 for this card. But definitely one to keep an eye on, especially with it being gold. The grading on this card could also be much tougher, so you just have to keep that in mind. And any of the PSA 10s could end up running a higher premium, just due to the fact that it's much harder to grade. Next card we have coming up here is the Kangaskhan, which is one of the more popular ones for Destined Rivals on the Destined Rivals set here. This IR is very popular just between just always showing the baby, right? Different ones. I always love it when they have multiple Pokemon on the cards. I know that's a popular thing to say, but it does seem I enjoy those cards more, especially having little kids myself and doing the hobby with my kids. Any of these cards that show the show the parent and the baby kind of thing really definitely strikes one with me, that I usually enjoy these cards. So enough about me. So for the 6 months, the card's down 21%. The reason why I pulled this card up, though, isn't because it's been ripping up like crazy. It's more because of the possibility of moving higher, right? As we'll see here, last week we had a spike in volume of 154 of them sold, which is definitely a spike in volume. Past 3 months, we're looking at 22, almost 23%. Last 1 month, it is currently up 16%. But overall, from the first sales of it's down 72%, from the high of when it first released. One of the things I love to remind people is to, you know, if you find cards like this that you really enjoy the artwork of, and as long as you don't mind holding for a couple years, because it could easily take that long depending on the card, look to pick some of these up 6 months, 8 months after they release. Okay, because this chart pattern we see here is very common during first releases. And the reason being is because a lot of times they stagger how they release product. Okay? And when they stagger it, you know, depending on the product, they might not have had very many booster boxes and very many of the elite trainer boxes available at first, right? It might have taken them time to make them before releasing, right? And so you'll see these where, you know, kind of comes down here and kind of starts to flatline, which it did, right? The whole summer, basically, plus most of Q1, and then it starts to spike. And then what happens? A big release comes and just wipes them out, right back down to $6-7 range, right? I've picked up a couple. I have so far on this guy. Although I will be picking up, for sure, I'll be picking up more under $10. I guarantee that. It's just a matter of how many do I really want. I haven't quite decided yet. I am in the boat that I believe Destined Rivals will be reprinted more. It might not be as bad as people are making it seem like it'll be as far as print runs. You know, people think that Destined Rivals is going to be as valuable as, you know, a used napkin. No, they're not going to print that much of it. But will they print some in the very near future? Yeah, of course, right? The product's not even a year old yet. And so it has multiple years left of its life. So I do believe that they will print more of this. And I do believe that this is kind of that bottom, right? Especially if you're getting closer to $6. I do think that that's a solid spot to be picking up some of these cards. That's, I want to say mine after tax is right around $7 for pretty much around for each copy that I have. So the first hobby shop, which is actually the first gold star seller as well, is $8.49, right? So $8.49 for this card. And I mean, there's been some buying in the nines, but it's about right as far as average wise. So keep an eye out for this guy. So this was another one I was going back and forth. A lot of these promo cards are really popular for collectors just because they are only offered during the promotion, whatever the promotional item is. And in this example, this Riolu was the box topper effectively for the elite trainer boxes for the Mega Evolutions. One thing I do enjoy about this card in particular is just the view of it and all the different graphics. I think the card's a cool looking card. This is another one where, you know, you see the price just come down and start just hitting lows in December of $5 and change, $5.54. Kind of starts to bottom out some, you know, back up to $7, back down, you know, and it's kind of trading within that range, right? This is a card that I'll probably end up with multiple of them. I just think the card's a cool looking card. Some of these cards I have found personally, when you find cards after they come out, when you find ones that have cool artwork and you can pick them up between $5 to $10, that's kind of the sweet spot for some of these raw cards, right? And if you don't mind, like I said, if you don't mind putting it in a top loader and in your binder and waiting, you know, 2, 3, 4 years if you have to, there's large paydays at the end, right? I mean, by large, I'm saying, you know, you can. I've turned mini cards from $5 to $10 into $100 cards, right? Raw without grading them. It's very possible, right? Or higher if you get lucky, right? You can easily get lucky, not easily, but you know what I'm saying. You can get lucky and have a card go from 5 to 500, right? It just depends on the card and what the future of Pokemon and what they decide to do and all that jazz. So. But this is definitely one card, though, that I think isn't really talked about much as far as on other streams. But this is definitely a card that I would be keeping my eyes out for, especially if you find a good copy. And again, this No Limit Gaming is the top pick here for the hobby shop and Gold Star shop at just under $8. So Misty Psyduck. So a lot of people love Psyduck. I didn't really realize how popular Psyduck was as a Pokemon until the last like 6 months. The Psyduck doesn't do anything for me personally, but I do love when we start seeing some of these trainers with their Pokemon. I just think it makes really cool cards. In this pick and the next pick, you'll see what I'm talking about here. But the Misty Psyduck, of course, it was hitting the bottom here after release, around in the $53, $54, $55 range. Shot up to hit $75 by late September. So ran a good $20, which is like 40-50%. And ultimately severely dipped, right, and crashed back down to $40. Okay, right around during Christmas time. This was the time when they were dumping way more product on the market to be buying this card. Now, it's easy to say it now. I get that, versus when stuff's plummeting. But again, look at the volume right here, right? 150 sold. Look at the volume right here. 159 sold. These are very large spikes. When it averages 50 and it does 150, 160, that's over 3x the normal volume for that week. You got to keep that on your watch list. So, and that's for you guys out there now. I'm telling you, we're kind of at this same range as where we said price support was here during the summer. Okay? This very easily can be $100+ card. Might not seem like much, but currently it's at $56 after shipping. Okay? So keep an eye out for this card. Like I said, just cool overall card, swimming, everything. Love to check out the water, as they're swimming. It's a very nice looking card. Misty's busy because here she is with the Lapras. I love personally the Lapras. I much prefer it way over Psyduck personally. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I just think the Pokemon looks really cool. It's not that it's a turtle. It's just, I don't know. For whatever reason, there's something draws me to Lapras. So, just very cool looking water Pokemon. I'm kind of a sucker for Gyarados though, so take that for what you wish. Again, another card that this one though I felt like was more of an opportunity, right? So again, during the summer, this card was right around $30, trading up and down some, but mainly sideways. Spiked to 45, 42 in that range, okay, by late September, early October. Then this card proceeded to sell off and dump to $20. Some copies were going below $20 here at this range, some as low as $16, right? Which obviously now, especially looking like a steal, right? Getting that good price. But the cards rebounded some to $30 again. Okay, so basically where it set the price for from the summer. The volume, though, I do like the volume spikes here. With that being said, I do think this is a card that could easily hit 60+ sooner than people think. And again, the reason being is that it's based off of reprints. So, if you're in the camp that you believe Destined Rivals will be reprinted massively in a short amount of time, then you should wait on the singles, because then these should be flooding the market. Does that make sense? But if you think Destined Rivals is not going to be reprinted at all, or very little, as far as the overall product-wise, and you think it's got a lot of room to run before it ever gets reprinted, then you should be buying their singles, because then that would be the best deal for your buck, right? Best bang for your buck. The last 1 month chart, this card's up 15%, which is not bad for a month, especially. 3 months, it's up 37%. 6 months, though, it's down 26%, because it basically includes this high from the fourth quarter. The first Gold Star seller here is just under $30. If you want a hobby shop, though, it's not much more, 20 cents more, and you get the first hobby shop here, and that is again $30 card. So I have not picked any of these up yet. I probably will, at least two at least 2. I like to pick up 2 because that way when a card starts to run hard, I like to pick up. I normally don't have just 1 card. I normally prefer 2 or more. That way when it starts to run and it doubles and triples and everything else, I can slowly kind of sell them out. Especially if I really like the artwork. So like in this example, if I bought 2 at 30, I would wait till it hits probably 65, 70, and then I'd sell 1, right? So as everyone knows, 151 has been running and running like crazy. And actually some of the individual prices within the actual set itself has been doing different things depending on the card. Okay, so like for example, this is the Blastoise, right? The Blastoise EX. This card I felt like was really undervalued for a long time. It was almost like people within the actual industry didn't really recognize it for being just a strong Blastoise card. The 1 month chart, it's up 90%. Yes, I said that right. The chart for the 1 month is up 90%. Even as the sealed product had dipped, which it should have really fell back here, right? But it didn't. Why? Because there was a huge volume spike, right? Again, when you're averaging, below 8 per day, and then they're spiking to 26, that tells you something. Somebody's trying to cement a floor here, and it rebounded, and now it's at 30, right? So the cheapest one you could do, actually, you could pick one up right now at 25, and then otherwise it's 28 and a half, 20 and a half, 20 and a half, yeah. So let me see the last ones. So someone got one here at 24. Ooh, 2 of them got 23. That was a great price. Yeah, 20. Ooh, 21. Oh, that's light played though, so that's different. But yeah. So let's click just near mint. Yeah. So some of them were buying yesterday at $40. That's absurd. $40 per card. That must, hopefully for their sake, that's good quality card. But ultimately, though, this card is something to keep an eye on, especially as the sealed product has been kind of pulling back a little bit. A healthy pullback, but it is pulling back a little bit. So it is something to keep an eye on for this. I already have this. These cards, so this Blastoise especially, I already have multiple copies of it, so I'm not buying any of this right now. With that being said, if it were to come down and come back to below $20, then maybe I will. Then I'll probably start buying some again. Within the last 3 months, the card is up 107%. Last 6 months, card's still up 107%. The last 1 year, the card is up 110%, right? I was hitting 15 plus, and then I was buying it when it was $13.50. I want to say $13.50, $14 in that range. But it's been trading in here, right? And within this range for a bit now. And then finally, we're getting some good price improvement, which is great. So again, a card that used to have, right now, could I sell for double my price? Pretty close. At least before fees, pretty close. I'm not going to yet, though. I'd like to see at least a 50. At least 50 come on the price before I sell a single. And then I pulled up the Charizard, the Flying Charizard here from set 151. And the reason being is just this is of course, the chase card, right, as everybody knows from 151. And what I was going to do was not just talk about how the 3 months is up 70%, right? And the 1 month, it's up 50% right now. So one of the things I did want to talk to people about, and this is kind of what I talked about with watching what's happening within the cards and whatnot, and why you gotta be careful when stuff starts to rip. So as you see here, right, you'd see large volume spikes on this card around 250, 260-ish, right? This range, 240 to 260, let's say, right? And price still going sideways. All these people are doing is removing liquidity, which is important. You need the liquidity to be gone. That's important. But ultimately, it's causing people to have less of an overhead dumping on you when price does start to appreciate. Then, of course, price appreciates, right? It runs all the way up to over 500, right? Saw people buying over $500 last week. So, but one thing to keep in mind is when some of these cards hit these peaks and then they start to sell off, they can also move in the other direction fast too, right? I mean, even 493 here. So, like I said, it was over $500 at the peak. Well, today it says 428, right? So you're talking about like a $70 dump within a week and a half. That's something to keep an eye out, right? Is that if you're going to buy a copy and you really wanted this card, you're probably getting close to your chance right now, right? Because they're probably not going to dump a whole lot of 151 left on the market. They don't really have that much time to make any more and everything else. But what my point is, it's not going to be long. This will continue this way. You'll see volume start to shoot up again, and that'll be people creating the floor, and this card will continue higher. I honestly believe that, especially with this being the main primary chase card of 151, and being it's a cool SIR of Charizard himself. So, but ultimately, whether you bought the card right here on March 4th or today, you're paying the same price. So keep that in mind. And the last one I wanted to show was the 151 of Psyduck. Right, I have this one as well. Last 1 month though, it does say it's up 53%. Right, for a while it was at the $40 range. Here in early February, hit as high as 80. Right, so people doubled their money and they were time to get out for a lot of people. Right, I think I sold one at around $60. So, in that range, 60, 65, something like that. But anyways, it ran up to 80. Came back, and then again, you see volume spike right here, right? People buying it up at 65, try to move up, but ultimately got pushed back again, and lack of buying, right? People are not, the volume's not spiking. You need bigger spikes of volume than this, right? But again, this is why you don't chase cards, right? Because if you're buying up here at, $80, because people say it's going to go to 200 next. Well, now it's at 60, right? So, let me pull up near mint real quick. So if you're doing near mint, gold star seller, yeah, $58. So if you're buying at 80, I mean that 20, you might think, it's only $20. Well, sure, but over the course of, depending on how many copies you buy, right? If you only buy one, okay, but still, that's $20 could be spent on more cards, right? Or a different card, And so ultimately, this is why you have to be careful with not just buying on rips, okay? Especially, if you see these volume spikes, we see these massive spikes like here and here. These spikes is a very good sign, right? These are telling you people are buying. They're buying with both hands, okay? So if you're going to be buying this card, it's not a bad idea to get a couple right here. Don't wait until it's way up here at $80. Don't do that. You're asking for trouble, ultimately, if you keep doing that. Look for these volume spikes when prices, it could go up some, but nothing super crazy. That's the time when you need to be looking at getting in. Because, again, ultimately, this card had multiple chances. Okay? And even back in November, October, everything, $25 card, $30 card. It was for sure under $30. So, it just hit 80. But you had your chances, and of course, if you go back even more, below $15, right? It was below 15 at one point, of course, below 8 at one point, but you could have had even this last summer at $15, $16, $17, right? And then, like I said, just hit 80. So, again, that's a multiple X return, right? And so, again, if you're buying these cards and you're buying quite a few for investment, you could have just turned, $15 to $18 cards into $80 cards in a very short time, multiple X, right? So with that being said, just keep in mind, guys, is that prices come down after big rips. It's very normal, very normal. The one thing nobody will know is nobody will know where the pivot point will be before price comes down some, right? Like no one was going to predict it was going to hit $80 first, then pivot down, collect more buyers at this 60 range, and then rebound back up, right? No one knows that during the moment. But that's why you need to make good decisions, guys. Not just FOMO in just because you like the card at 80, right? Understand that other things in the markets are going to be happening, and keep your a cool head and really, really decide if that's the card you ultimately really want. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, of course, let me know in the comments below. Do you like any of these cards? Are you looking to buy any of these cards, or do you guys have any of these cards? Go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.